Hey everyone, I'm doing something a bit different today and just play a bit of Kingdom Hearts. Just gonna mess around a bit and talk about the series. Specifically, I guess Kingdom Hearts 3 because there's a relatively new trailer for one thing, but just the series in general I think is on people's minds with the HD collections and all that. By the way, PlayStation 4 version definitely worth playing if you want to get into the series. That aside, Kingdom Hearts 3, those new trailers are, well, they're amazing, honestly. The game looks spectacular. Like, each time a trailer comes out, the graphics go up a metric ton. But also, I mean, the gameplay, it looks so much better than what we've had out of Kingdom Hearts for a long time now. Ever since around Birth by Sleep. Okay, some people will say Chain of Memories, but I really like Chain of Memories. But that aside, Birth by Sleep and such, they definitely have worse gameplay than Kingdom Hearts 2 at least. That's the gold standard as far as most people are concerned. Kingdom Hearts 2 is what you want to aim for. And so far, Kingdom Hearts 2 hasn't done anything that would tell me that it's going to be as good as that, but it's better than what we've had for a long time, and that's worth something. At the same time, I'm worried about the attacks being way too big. That's the consistent problem I'm seeing, where even just like a basic, like a magic attack like that, makes this giant explosion that hits like 50 enemies. And I don't really like that. Like in Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 1, for example, too, since I'm playing that, it's been usually, like, obviously the combat's super flash, that's one of the things Kingdom Hearts is known for. But the thing is that they were generally still pretty fast and effective abilities you could use. Like, in Kingdom Hearts 3, one of the trailers they showed a drive form type ability where you can use moves from Kingdom Hearts 2. And one of the attacks uses, I believe, called Magnet Splash, or that might be in this game and it's called something else in 2, but there's a magnet type attack where he sucks in enemies and then does a little blast to knock them away. And in Kingdom Hearts 2, that's like over and done within a second. In Kingdom Hearts 3, it's this really long, drawn-out attack. And I'm worried that stuff's going to be like that. Like, it's a huge attack. Like, it makes a big magnet explosion now. But it's so long, and what really worries me is if it's on some point later on when you actually have to play the game optimally, what's going to happen when that super long animation becomes a massive liability? Like, that's the thing that was a problem in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and especially Dream Drop Distance, where these really seemingly good attacks, they weren't very viable because they had such long, flashy animations that actually using them was borderline impossible and at the very least impractical. Like, they always heavily favored moves that were very fast to use but had a high damage output. That's why things like Balloon or Thunder Surge or something like that, those were the go-to moves in Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance. And I'm hoping that Kingdom Hearts 3 can do better than that. Like, I don't mind if the attacks are really big as long as, like, they have iframes, I guess. Because if you can't be hurt, then it might be too easy, but I'd prefer that to it being not practical or imbalanced. Oh yeah, so this little thing right here, actually, I don't think a lot of people even know about this, but there's a whole bunch of tracks you can do for this Jungle Slider minigame. You have to get all the fruit, and actually, I'm not sure if it was hard for me, yeah, I already missed one right there. You have to get all 10 fruit to get your reward, and there's 5 tracks, I believe. And yeah, I don't think a lot of people even know this exists. Alright, take 2, I'm gonna get these items. But yeah, I mentioned earlier something about drive forms in Kingdom Hearts 3, and as far as I know, those are now tied to specific Keyblades, which is also kind of a shame. Like, there's a whole thing with situation commands. In Kingdom Hearts 0.2, they showed them off a bit where, for example, you could use a whole bunch of fire spells and you get Fire Jet. So the idea is, like, based on what you do, that's what your like super special attack is going to be a really powerful move. And as a reward for using certain kinds of attacks, I think that works fine. It's a lot better than the command styles they had in Birth by Sleep, where you were just forced into a new type of attack if you use certain moves, and you basically had to not use certain moves if there was a bad kind of attack you didn't really want to use right now. So making it actually something you can control is nice, but that's also how you do drive forms as far as I know. And beyond that, it seems to be tied to the Keyblade, which is a shame because I don't want things like that influencing the kind of weapon you use. Like, already Kingdom Hearts 2, I guess, they have the different abilities influencing what you use, but that's a lot more varied. You can use whatever you want really, because they're all at least viable. Like, obviously weaker ones are going to do less damage, but it's not that big of a deal. But for example, in Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2 and Recoded, they had all these other factors to them. For example, in Days, they had different types of attacks they could use, like different combos, and some of them were so awful you couldn't use them even if they had great abilities, because they just whiff attacks. And the way I see it, the more specific you get, the worse it's going to be, because there's just going to be more and more things that just aren't viable. And that's always been kind of the thing about Kingdom Hearts, is that there's been so many viable options, ways to do things. Like, even poorly balanced games like Birth by Sleep, you can do things like D-links, you can use shot locks, you can use, well, obviously you can use your commands. Like, there's just lots of stuff you can do. So you can play how you want, and the more stuff that becomes tied to a certain type of gear or whatever, the less you can do. Like, a drive in Kingdom Hearts 2 is just a thing that you have at all times. You consume your drive meter and you can use whatever drive you want as long as you have party members, except for a limit form, which doesn't need a party member. But anyways, that's more options as opposed to you only get the drive that your Keyblade can use. And Keyblades already have transformations as well, and that's another thing. Like, if a transformation sucks, then that sucks. You're not going to be able to really make good use of it. And I get that a lot of people are going to look at that and say, well, it's more options, it's variety, that kind of thing, and sure, I guess, but I don't know, I'm concerned. I'm not too worried, though, honestly, because they seem to be putting a huge amount of effort into Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, even if it ends up not being a very well-made or balanced game, it's going to have so much spectacle and so much quality to it that I think it's going to be fine. Honestly, like, it'll be good for a playthrough at least. You can play through it and enjoy it just for the spectacle. That's always been true, I guess, for just Kingdom Hearts in general, but I don't know. I think that 3 being the first high-budget game in a long time is going to really exemplify that. In fact, they've said some pretty crazy stuff about how many people, I guess, are working on Kingdom Hearts 3. They've said something like 80 background designers. Like, it's insane. And that's not including the outsourcing staff they have working on it. And just like, I'm not sure if this has been debunked, like if it was fake or something, but I've seen blurry screenshots of the Tangled World and how they have an absurd number of NPCs. And that's something I never thought that would be in Kingdom Hearts, because like the back of Kingdom Hearts 1's walk, for example, they say over 100 Disney characters, and that's an insane amount of Disney characters. Like, to model and rig all that, that's crazy. And it's not all major characters, sure, but I never thought there would be a time where the world would actually be populated, because that's an insane amount of design work. Just creating characters that are in line with each type of world is crazy. But having enough to populate, like actually have like a densely populated town area, that's well beyond. Like, that's something that people always wanted, but I always kind of felt it's fair. They can't expect it to make that many NPCs for such a weird game like Kingdom Hearts, where every single place you go to is its own contained universe. But apparently they're doing it. I'm assuming that, like, there won't be, for example, tons of monster NPCs in the Monsters Inc. world or something like that. It'll probably just be Tangled and inevitably probably Frozen whenever that gets announced. But still, like, that's the thing. Kingdom Hearts 3 is going above and beyond in certain ways that I'm not sure people really expected them to. And we haven't even heard the music, and that's always been like the best part about Kingdom Hearts, most consistent at least. Yeah, I don't know. I think 3 will be at least better than the best Kingdom Hearts since 2, if not surpassing 2, because really 2 is one of the best games, just period, in all of gaming. And a lot of people don't get just how good it is because the game doesn't force you to really make use of the mechanics. And I mean, obviously, it doesn't have a great story. It's Kingdom Hearts, but what it does have is spectacle, and it has lots of just fun, cool, good stuff. And that's all Kingdom Hearts needs to be. If it can go beyond that, like if the writing were to make a sudden spike in quality and they somehow manage to wrap up the entire plot and it actually ends up being really good, that'd be cool, that'd be great. I can't see that happening. Like, I always believe that a writer can, like, a good enough writer can do anything. They can make anything funny, they can make anything dramatic, they can basically do whatever. The trick is that it gets harder and harder to do as it goes on. Because, like, Kingdom Hearts is a hard story to make right. There's a lot going on. Now, there's already been so much missed potential that making that new stuff equal to what it could have been is tough, to say the least. Like, I've talked with friends before about things that Kingdom Hearts could have done, but it's a lot harder to think about in the context of what it will do. Because, like, the payoffs that they could have that a normal person can see aren't great. Like, they have undone so many things, like, they've made it... Okay, nobody's having hearts. That's a thing that was introduced in Dream Drop Distance, and I always saw it coming, but it wasn't a good idea. Because, like, people have been talking, for example, about how Xemnas is a compelling villain by Kingdom Hearts standards because he actually has a motivation. He wants to have his heart, and then Dream Drop Distance eliminates that and makes it so that he always had one, and he always knew he was going to get one back, etc., etc. And instead, it seems like what Xemnas is going to be is a payoff for characters like Roxas and Xion. And Xion is probably the worst Kingdom Hearts character, which is saying something. But beyond that, Terra most likely has something to do with how they've handled Xemnas as well. And that's not super compelling either, because that's the thing, it's all payoff for worse stories than what they had. Hasn't been net positive with the Kingdom Hearts games that came out after 2. 2 still had some good stuff going on, but then, yeah, since then it's just been... I don't want to say it too negatively, because I honestly do love the dumb, stupid stuff Kingdom Hearts does. Birth by Sleep has an awful story, but it doesn't have to be awful. They can salvage it by just pretending that it wasn't as bad as it was. Kind of like what happens with the Star Wars prequels, really. Like, the Star Wars Clone Wars TV show is really quite good, and they make use of a lot of ideas from the prequels. They just kind of gloss over the fact that in the prequels it was really bad. And I guess Kingdom Hearts could do that too. They can just be like, oh no, actually Xion was really a good character. You just ignore the game where she's super boring and not worth it at all. But, yeah, I don't know. I've talked about it in another video where I said that the writing in 0.2 and back cover, or Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key back cover, for the name, that was really well above the average writing in the normal Kingdom Hearts games. But Kingdom Hearts writing has always been all over the place too. Like, Birth by Sleep has overall pretty weak writing, but it has a handful of these really nice little moments. It's just, I don't know if they can sustain that, because like, people have been talking too about the Kingdom Hearts 2 intro. There was a really good video by the Game Over about how good the intro is and how effective it is for Roxas as a character. And the thing is that a lot of the other writing in Kingdom Hearts 2 is nowhere near that level, to the point where a friend of mine said it's like it was written by a different person. And it could have been. Kingdom Hearts does have multiple writers. But I guess that's the most important thing. If Kingdom Hearts 3 could be more consistent, that would automatically make it really good by Kingdom Hearts standards. I'm trying to think of any Kingdom Hearts games that I'd say have consistently good writing, and I guess, weirdly enough, Kingdom Hearts Recoded, in the DS version at least, the movie in the HD collection kind of has the same problem that a lot of Kingdom Hearts stuff has, where it's lip-locked by the Japanese dub. They only redo the lip sync for the major games like, I think Birth by Sleep, but definitely Dream Drop Distance and 1 and 2. But yeah, the Kingdom Hearts Recoded on the DS has surprisingly tight, like, it has just enjoyable writing. The story just isn't much. People would complain about it not being relevant to the plot, but really it makes the characters more compelling than they should be. Like, there's these moments between the data versions of Riku and Sora that are so much more compelling than the actual real characters. They never had these just down-to-earth talks in any of the other games, and it's so bizarre to say that these fake versions of characters that probably aren't going to appear again are better than the main characters of this series. But it'd take a lot, really, to go through all the writing of Kingdom Hearts and narrow down what's good and bad. And also, the problem with Kingdom Hearts a lot of the time is that it's often not just bad or just good. Sometimes there's stuff that could have been good, and it's so close to being good, but then they just bumble somehow. Like, Shion's death scene in 358 Days Over 2 probably would have been a lot more effective if it didn't have the infamous line, "Who will I eat ice cream with?" when she dies and is in Roxas' arm, and that's the only thing you can think of, I guess. So by the way, back to the game I'm actually playing. This fruit thing is extra tedious because you have to get every single fruit every single time you go through just to get to the next area to get all of the fruit. But you might have noticed I'm getting some pretty good items from this. You get stat boosting items, and you also get a dark matter I just recently got. I forget what you get for all of it. I think it's an orichalcum, which is a really valuable item for synthesis. Although that might have changed in Final Mix. I'm not sure 100%, because they do change some stuff, like orichalcum isn't a drop you can get from enemies in Final Mix. It's only an item you can find from certain places, and then also you can buy it from the stores after a certain point. I think after you get to Hollow Bastion, but it's really expensive. 5,000 money, I believe. It's almost enough to get a watermelon. Honestly, Final Mix, I don't think is the definitive version of Kingdom Hearts 1. I think a lot of the changes they've made are for the worst. Like, there's so much stuff they've changed to how synthesis works that makes you have to do all these dumb gimmick heartless battles that are really just not enjoyable. Like, a bit before recording this, I was doing, I forget what they call it, Sniper Wild, I want to say. There's these enemies in Traverse Town, and their gimmick is that if they see you, then they'll just start spamming bullets at you that you can't really avoid, and you have to leave the area. And what you want to do is you want to defeat them without being seen, so you have to use stop on them to get them, and it's just tedious, honestly. Usually you just spend your time watching them bounce around and waiting for them to either cluster together so you can hit them all with stop, or get far enough away that you can use stop on one of them without the other ones having a chance of seeing you. And, like, Kingdom Hearts 2 has all that kind of stuff too. They have the Mushroom 13. Honestly, I find those minigames way better. Overall, Kingdom Hearts 2's Final Mix stuff is phenomenal, like, without a shadow of a doubt. It's just really, really good stuff that just makes the game so much more than what it was. To the point where I'd actually say that no matter how much you've played Kingdom Hearts 2, if on the PlayStation 2, the Final Mix version is like a whole new game. They rebalance so much stuff. They make it so that you get different items from different places and things like that. And yeah, it's a really phenomenal package. Kingdom Hearts 2 is already such a great game, but Final Mix really elevates it. But yeah, in this game, not so much. They do have some nice little things, like you can get a Keyblade for being Sephiroth instead of just, I think you get just experience actually. I don't think you can get an item. Besides that, you can get a Keyblade for beating Ice Titan. And there's the unknown fight, and there's some extra Ansem reports as a result of the new fights. Originally, you got I think you got Zantetskin from beating Kurt Zisa, but that was it. Yeah, what else has changed in Final Mix? There's all the new Heartless fights, and there's rewards for stuff that was in the North American version, but not the Japanese version. Obviously, the new secret ending. They changed the difficulties. It wasn't called Proud Mode originally. I believe it was called Expert Mode. In the hardest difficulty, I should say. But yeah, what else? I guess there's tons of new items to synthesize and stuff like that. Pardon my ability to speak. Yes, I'm a YouTuber. And yeah, that's the thing, is that all those gimmick Heartless are the only way to get specific types of items that you can use to synthesize all the new items. There's like EXP raising items and stuff like that. That's actually kind of a fun thing about beginner mode, is they start you off with EXP boosting items and also a bunch of stat boosts. I always like it when difficulties go above and beyond, which is why critical mode is such a great thing in Kingdom Hearts 2. And speaking of comparing the Mushroom 13 to the new Heartless in this, in Kingdom Hearts 2, any Mushroom 13 will give you the items you need to synthesize. Why can I talk? Synthesize stuff. So you don't have to do one you don't like, where each individual Heartless in this gives its own unique item. And you have to do well on them to even get that item, and it's just... Speaking of which, I should actually, once I'm done getting the slides on it, so I should go and... That's the reason I'm in this world. I want to get to the Pink Agaricus, I believe it's pronounced. Which has this kind of weird problem where, because of the changes to the PlayStation 3 and 4 version of Kingdom Hearts 1, it's become borderline impossible to get a perfect on the minigame for it. It involves you stop on it and then get as many hits as possible in before it unfreezes. And to get the maximum reward from it, you need to get 100, which guarantees it'll drop the special item it drops and stuff like that. But the thing is that Kingdom Hearts 1 has this weird, not well-known feature where you can press the triangle button to get Donald and Goofy to attack something. And in the original version, this didn't really mean anything, because that's all triangle did in that version. The thing is that they redid the controls in this version of Kingdom Hearts, so as you might have seen already, triangle does stuff now. It was originally an unused button, and then they basically copied how it worked in Kingdom Hearts 2, where it was to open chests and use special moves and that kind of stuff. The end result is that the only moves you can use to get enough hits in on the Pink Agaricus, they involve pressing the triangle button, and this means that Donald and Goofy will start attacking the Heartless, and each hit they do reduces the hit counter. So in order to actually get 100, you have to manipulate their AI so that they're nowhere near the Pink Agaricus. And that's easier said than done. I believe the go-to strat is something to do with summoning. I want to say Dumbo, might have been a different summon, but basically use a summon to ensure that the Donald and Goofy can't get to it. And that kind of exploit really shouldn't be what's necessary just to do well on a minigame. You can still get the item without getting a perfect, which is why the game's still completable, like 100%able I should say, because there's trophies and stuff involving getting every synthesis item and stuff like that. But, like, man, oh damn it, I missed one of the fruit. Can I restart? Nah, good. But yeah, they didn't put enough thought into the new controls, I guess. Although it's weird they didn't fix it for the PS4 version, because they fixed some other stuff, like they patched Kingdom Hearts 2 a bit to solve some of the 60 FPS glitches. But I guess it wasn't worth it for this. I guess because it's still completable and there's exploits you can do and stuff, but it's a shame. Overall, honestly, the triangle button controls are still very appreciated. It makes playing the game a lot easier. You used to have to see there's a summon button down here. That used to not be a dedicated summon button. Wait, was that right? I think so, because originally the bottom button was how you open chests and stuff like that. Oh, I think summon was under magic? I don't know. It's been such a long time since I played the PS2 version of this game, so I don't really know this stuff anymore. Huh. It's weird being, like, I'm so used to Kingdom Hearts 2 as well on final mix balancing and with critical mode and stuff. I don't know how I could go back to the vanilla version anymore. It's pretty much just a flat upgrade. Anyways, I've got to get me this item. I don't even know what it is. It's probably something not great, like a power boost or something, or like an AP boost. Although those are actually really valuable in Kingdom Hearts 1 because it's so hard to get the items that you need to get boosting items. They made it a lot easier in Kingdom Hearts 2, although they also have I think Kingdom Hearts 2 has some sort of a damage cap where your stats don't actually matter after a certain point. So I guess it's more valuable in 2, or 1 I mean, but still, I don't know. Kingdom Hearts 1 is just jank all around. It's weird to think that this is such an early game, 2002 or 2001, it might have been 2001 in Japan, but one way or the other, it's nuts, honestly, that this game holds up as well as it does. It's jank all around, like you can see him juddering on this, like right there, juddering all around on these 3D models, but visually it still looks really good for PS2, just upscaled, and it plays fine. Like it's, every single thing has some jank to it, but considering the era, like this came around the time Final Fantasy X did, and Final Fantasy X aged way worse than this. But it's definitely, of the Kingdom Hearts games, the hardest to go back to. It has the least quality of life stuff. There's actually another reason I could probably never go back to the vanilla version. They added the ability to skip cutscenes in Final Mix, and I can't imagine sitting through cutscenes, even though I probably wouldn't die nowadays, because I'm fairly good at the game, not to toot my own horn, but, you know, I played this game like 5,000 times, and that's what happens. This is the right way to go, right? I'm assuming. What a dumb little waste of time. I hope that Kingdom Hearts 3 has more dumb little waste of time. Something that's happened over time with Kingdom Hearts is it's become very structured. Like, they've become very set into a routine of you go to the world, you fight some groups of enemies, and then you fight the boss and you get a Keyblade. And sometimes the other abilities you get as well. But there's very rarely mini bosses or anything like that anymore, or weird structure changes where it was a lot more varied, I find. Oh damn it, did I miss one? I missed 2. But yeah, there was a lot of weird little stuff like this. There's weird mini games and optional stuff and just secrets in general to find. And I think things got too combat focused at some point, which is weird because Kingdom Hearts is an action game and Kingdom Hearts 2 is the most action game of them all, but still, a varied structure is really important to make it so that things don't get tedious, I find. You can't do the same thing over and over again, and that was the real problem with Final Fantasy 13. All you ever do in that game is run forward and fight. There's no real breaks except for extended periods of running forward instead of fighting. Like that's the thing that's between Final Fantasy X and 13 really. 13 doesn't have the distractions that 10 does that makes the linearity really obvious. Linearity isn't a problem really. Lots of stuff is linear. Games, by their nature, are linear no matter how open they claim to be. So yeah, it's kind of stupid to think that the problem itself is linearity when it's obviously something deeper than that. It's noticing linearity, really, that's the problem. But I digress. I'm going to get whatever this is. It better be an orichalcum, I hope, even though 5,000 money isn't that much anymore, but free money, basically. And I'll be able to synthesize something, hopefully, like, what's a really good item in this game? A heart guard? I want to get a heart guard. might even be able to do that with Orichalcum, but there's some really good new stuff. Something that gives like a bunch of HP and some other stuff. I love how absurdly huge your health bar can get in this game. It's one of the few Kingdom Hearts games with the round health bar where you can actually upgrade your health substantially, and you get health upgrades even from leveling up. Where things like Kingdom Hearts 2 and Birth by Sleep, and I believe just really every Kingdom Hearts game besides the DS ones, they've made it so you get health just by bonus levels from like beating a boss or stuff like that. And that's honestly probably better, but I do just love the level of like, look at how big Tarzan's health bar is up there, and like you can reach a point where Goofy's health bar can extend to the point where it ends at the same point as Donald's. Like it's stupid, but it's so... Oh, oops. Alright, I think it's time to give up on this little stupid minigame. I've got other things to maybe do, maybe. Oh, like this! One of the stupid Heartless. Okay. Camera, help me. Okay. It's that one, I think. Ooh, a lightning stone right off the bat. Good. I figured out this trick in Kingdom Hearts 2. I just keep pausing. It'll be a lot easier to keep track of the... Uh-oh. Did I lose it? Okay. I wish the camera could zoom out a bit more. That would definitely be nice. Alright, middle one. Oh no. Okay, I think I lost it. Damn it. Still, I got Lightning Stone first try, so that's not a big deal. But yeah, this definitely makes synthesizing a lot bigger of a pain than it should be. It's hard to keep track to because they're so dark. Actually, something that this always reminds me of, and I always forget that this is something I want, but I wish Kingdom Hearts 3 would bring back tech points. It's this little thing you get for hurting not hurting enemies, but like you get it for blocking, or you get it for like using blizzard magic on a fire enemy, that kind of thing. If you keep doing that, then you get tech points from stuff, and you can get like a tech boost too, and it's just experience points. Maybe they could mix it up somehow in Kingdom Hearts 3, but I really like just the general idea of rewarding skill with that kind of thing. I think that's something that could definitely benefit any Kingdom Hearts game, really, just having a benefit to more technical play. Because that's one thing Kingdom Hearts always tends to fail to do, is really guide the player towards the more advanced stuff you can do, even in the games like Birth by Sleep, where the technical stuff is just spamming Thunder Surge. But yeah, I don't know. I guess more things is nice, I guess, is what it comes down to. Tech points aren't necessary, and all they do is level you up a bit faster. But it's satisfying. You get a little number pop up when you do something right. Who doesn't like numbers popping up? It's good stuff. I'm running out of steam, so I'm probably going to end this video. I don't actually have any goals, per se, with this. I just kind of want to get better at talking while playing games. Oh, wow, I can't believe I missed this Trinity. So, who knows where this will go, or if it will go anywhere. I just want to try something different. And also, I mean, not to show how the sausage is made too much, but YouTube kind of likes it when you make longer videos. And guess what? Vertical Slice isn't very long. So, yeah, I don't know. Especially some feedback would be nice. Things that could do differently. Not that I necessarily can do anything better than what I'm doing right now, but hopefully this goes somewhere. Oh, okay. I think this is the one that lets you summon the Agar. Yeah, this is how they tell you that you need to use stop, because I believe all of them will be frozen. I just have to find them all. And I believe one of them is in a tricky spot, but I'll have to see. Okay, I think the last one might be on the roof, but it might be somewhere else. Oh, it might be in the boat. Let me see. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, wish me luck. I haven't done this in a long while. Ether or something. I guess I can do something on the menu, but just gotta. Wait, no, there we go. Okay, there's the pink Cadacarus. Right, that's the trick. See, when you target the head, you can use Ragnarok, and that's the whole thing there. What else? Anything I gotta keep track of? Just want to make sure I don't screw this up. I don't want to have to go and trigger again. I just want to get a stupid item and be done with it. I only have Stopper. I haven't beaten Phantom on this save yet, so we'll see how this goes.
Here! Take that! Ha! Come on! This is it! Ha! Come on!
Okay, let's see how this goes. Oh, that's so low. Oh. Shoot. Well, that's a downer note to end things on, but yep, I guess I'm done. See you later.